Hi, I'm Nettie, and for my final presentation, I decided to do a mashup of different theological perspectives on life after death. And to do that, I composed an interview where I talked to three of the most important people in my life. These people are very special to me. They influence my choices every single day in multiple different ways without even realizing it. Sometimes I don't even realize that they're influencing my choices. And while I typically don't like to talk about theological or religious ideas in general, I did just that for this interview. So this presentation has definitely been a way for me to step out of my comfort zone and ask questions that I normally wouldn't ask. And so for this interview, I asked everyone the exact same question, which was, generally speaking, what do you believe happens to us when we die? So the first person to answer this for me was my mom, and I wanted to ask her this because I feel like she's had the biggest impact on my morality. I really care about her ideas and her judgmental thoughts on all of my decisions. She's the one who's provided a religious foundation for me to base my own faith on, and has also been the one to teach me why it is so important for us to just have faith in general, in something. And this is what she had to say.
What happens when we die? That's a very good question. My beliefs about what happens when we die are very biblically based. Grew up in a Christian home, so I believe when we die, we spend a certain amount of time in a grave, and eventually when Christ comes back, he will raise us up. And then if we have believed in him our whole lives, or if we've decided to believe in him recently before we died, he's going to take us to heaven to live in the new city which he has built, the city which John talks about in the book of Revelation. And I believe then there will be no more pain, no more suffering, as the Bible tells us, and we will live the rest of our lives happily.
The next person who agreed to answer my question is my best friend. She is also my roommate here at Hanover College, though I've known her for so much longer than that. And while I like to think that I know her opinions on just about everything in this world, this is something that we really haven't talked about. So I wanted to dig a little deeper and discover why she makes the life choices that she does and how she comes to the conclusions that she does. And so this was her response to my question.
Personally, what I think happens to us after we die, I'm a religious person. I have grown up in the religious area. All my family is very religious. We went to church all the time when I was younger. So I think that what happens to us after we die is that if we have lived a good life, we have no sins, no guilt, no suffering, I think we all go to heaven. And if you've done something bad, if you have sinned, have hurt someone in some way and you haven't resolved that, then you would go to hell.
The final person that I decided to interview is my other best friend, who I actually did meet here at Hanover College. And I decided to ask her this question because I actually have never had a conversation with her pertaining to any sort of theological or religious ideas or beliefs. So I really just kind of wanted to get a general sense as to what she believes happens to us when we die. And this was her response.
So I believe that we make a decision, like if we feel like we're a good person and like we lived a good life and did good in the world, then we go to heaven. But like if we have guilt inside of us for doing something bad, or if we just generally think like we're a bad person and don't deserve to go to heaven, then we spend the rest of our death in hell.
So how does my opinion on the afterlife compare to theirs? Well, I discovered that I definitely have a more vague sense of an afterlife. And while I don't necessarily disagree with any of their beliefs or statements, I do think that we are not necessarily restricted to the idea or concepts of heaven and hell. That's not to say that I disagree with those concepts. It's just to say that I believe that there just is potentially something more out there. And despite that, I concluded that we all kind of share similar ideas on how sin and guilt and generosity and kindness and things like that all play a role in this life, as well as life beyond Earth. I learned that their opinions of an afterlife definitely play a role in what they think is right and wrong in this world, which is conclusively identical to my general perspective that how we live life in this physical realm here on Earth ultimately determines the outcome of our afterlife. That's my presentation. Thank you for watching.